Let's go over that.
Ask Council Member Meyer to lead us in the invocation.
Let's bow our heads and pray. Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come and serve the citizens of Bryant. Father, we thank you for our first responders that protect us every day on the streets. And Father, we thank you for our city employees that keep our city going and care for our citizens. Father, I pray that you would be with us in this room tonight, that you would bless those that are here, bless those on the dais, and Father, that you would give us words to speak that would be pleasing and bring honor and glory to you. Father, these things we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Join in our pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll be seated. All right, let's call this February 25th, 2025 regular city council meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Burgess.
Present.
Higginbotham.
Here.
Martin. Here. Meyer.
Here.
Mosley.
Here.
O'Rourke.
Here.
Herminer.
Present.
Rodell.
Here. Snuck in on
Well,
it,
but
didn't
you
I?
sure did.
Still need this one.
The invisible council member.
I'm here.
Cool.
We have a quorum. Okay, I do need a motion to amend the agenda and add February 13th special council meeting minutes to the agenda, please.
Make the motion.
Okay,
Second.
a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Item number one, approval of January 28th minutes.
Motion to approve.
Motion,
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, now we have the February 13th special city council meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
A motion,
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, we've got a couple appointments. First is the Community Engagement Committee from Ward 1, Captain Anthony James. Anthony is Captain Arkansas Army National Guard, Nuclear Medical Science Officer for the 61st Civil, sorry. Support Team Weapons of Mass Destruction is what he deals with every day. Any questions?
Motion to approve.
Motion,
I second it.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. All right, we have an appointment to the Planning Commission, Terry Thompson, Ward 2, probably know her, over 20 years, a resident in the ward, owner-operator of Thompson Electric.
Ward 2. Yeah, make the motion. Second.
Motion, second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, Ted Taylor, Planning and Development, is going to talk to us specifically about electrical.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to go for a record for the shortest director's report. Wish me luck. In the back of your packet, there's a sheet that looks like this. We start with the numbers. I think we had some council members inquire to periodically update our electrical charges. Electrical inspection is one of the only code enforcement officers that we don't hire in-house. And so I just wanted to punch through and look at those numbers right off bat, is whether or not we're covering our expenses as a result of what those are. So these are the numbers from 2023 through 2024. The second page, the second and third page is the ordinance that we adhere to that was passed in 2023 February that establishes the rates of what our electrical inspections are. And they're based off, if it's small enough, it's either $50 or $100, depending on what size the build out is, or it's adjusted or based off of 14 cents per square foot on large. So going back to the first page, looking at this number right here, you kind of see the total of the ones that come through. It says total annual, like for 2023, it's $85,149. And then for 2024, it's $99,933. Our current contractor is Gary Williams, master electrician. He's local. His firm's local here. And we essentially pay him $45 per inspection. And the typical minimum is $50, so we're always $5 to the good on that. But also, there's some of the inspections that are $100. And then, of course, like I said, it's per the square foot. But averaging those out, you can kind of see that our average permit cost is around $100 once all said and done, if you amortize it over all the inspections. So we cover his cost, and we make some to boot. So really, that electrical inspection, even though we do generate revenue over it, it's that we have to do that for the city. And then also, to give you an idea, the little bit of spreadsheet at the bottom there kind of shows what a typical journeyman electrician is. It's anywhere from $85 to $150. The last 2 pages of this is ones that we've gotten from recent bids. But once again, we require a master electrician inspection, so that doesn't even that. But what that does show you is if we tried to hire somebody as a staff, we'd be spending in excess of anywhere from $176,000 to almost $300,000 for an employee. So it makes sense to have that as a contract. So the relationship has been a good one, and we've had him since, I think, 2018. And the previous electrical inspector actually retired. So they don't make a lot of money off of this, basically, but it's a good job for them. And they do a job for the city. So I don't know if anybody kept a stopwatch, but unless you have any questions.
Yeah, question.
So, pardon me, because I assumed that we were getting shorted, and I don't ever want the city to be shorted. And we make wise choices in the inspector and that kind of stuff. But I did do some looking.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I further looked back to see at our budget. We only budgeted 30K.
Yeah.
And we went over.
Yes.
That's on our expense side. Now, our revenue side's 80K was the budget, which we went over. Which the other thing is quite interesting. Our revenue is planned down to like 62, and then our expense is not planned to last year. So I'm assuming that we're not going to have as many electrical inspections.
No,
So I guess I don't understand
forgive
that.
me, and part of that is, I started back in June, and we were in an attempt to up that budget to anticipate that. And the previous ordinance, of course, we changed it in 2023. The previous one was 2019. So maybe within another 3 to 5 years, we need to change it again. But once again,
What do you mean change the ordinance?
is increase those rates, make sure our revenues is, because things are only going to go up.
Oh, yeah.
So-
Exactly. That's why I was curious that we planned, like, if our expenses last year were 37 and change, and we only planned 36. I mean, I guess I'm from a background that you take your expenses and you plan an increase, because nothing goes down.
Yeah.
But we didn't. We planned backwards.
We did, and that, once again, I think we tried to adjust for 2025, and we still used a 2024 number. But once again, we're not necessarily losing money, we're gaining revenue.
No, I'm glad we're not losing money. But
And if you notice too, is we actually went up by $15,000 in revenue that we recovered from last year. So, we're doing even better. We just, when the budget goes out there to pay it, it's never been adjusted. We just knew that we was going to cover that amount because at $45 and the average permit is going to be around $100. We'll never be in a case where we'll lose money. So, but I understand what you're saying is we need to reflect that in the budget so that we make sure when that number shows up, we're not taking it from somewhere else. Good question.
All right. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thanks, Ted. Okay, public comments. Mr. remind you to come forward, please write your name down, tell us who you are, your address, and then you've got 3 minutes. We don't start until you get all the names written down, so don't rush.
Where are the names? Okay.
Thanks, Tim.
Before we start with public comment, I believe the Bryant resident is Ms. Joyner. This is her attorney, Ms. McHill, who my understanding is not a Bryant resident, correct?
No.
Okay, so I would ask that it be limited to Ms. Joyner to speak tonight.
Go ahead, yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
My name is Patricia Joyner, and I live at 3924 Commonwealth Drive. And I was coming before the council to ask for compensation for my yard and the taking of my property. I have a survey of it, and it was almost 2 feet of my property taken and a wall built on the property. This lasted for almost 2 years, well, a little bit over 2 years. And I couldn't get in my yard or out my yard, and so I was wanting to ask the city to compensate me for it.
Question?
And I have pictures, I didn't print them off, but I have pictures of how it looked.
You live on the corner, don't you?
Yes,
Okay.
How long did the construction last?
a little over 2 years.
And what was in the space that the wall occupies? What was there prior?
My flower garden.
Okay. All right. So it wasn't like a driveway.
No, it
Okay.
wasn't a driveway.
All right. Sorry, I live in West Point, but I don't drive that far back very often, so.
I think are we just listening or what are we doing?
Well, this is on the agenda later.
Oh, sorry.
That they had been making this request, so we can discuss that
Okay.
then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm here for the same reason that Ms. Joyner is. My name's Angela Burnett, and I live at 4033 Robinwood Circle. The construction she is referring to is when a sewer pipe bust, and it was an emergency, and we understand that. And we were approached by the city to allow use of our side and our backyard, which ended up being our entire backyard. And it took roughly 21 months to complete from the beginning of the sewer busting until my fence was finally put up. My husband is unfortunately not here. He is a truck driver. He's on the road. And so we have a few questions and want to point out a few things about what happened. So we were promised that our yard would be put back to the exact way it was, and it was not. Our yard's uneven. There are rocks coming up. And unfortunately, there is a retaining wall that has drainage holes that are going into my yard. And my yard slopes now more than it did before, and so we're going to eventually probably have some flooding issues. We did during construction. It almost got in the home, okay? So what we want to know is who owns the wall, who has liability, who's responsible for the fence upkeep, And is there a warranty? If my backyard floods, will the city rectify? Can the wall be removed from my property line and fence restored to the previous position? That is the only thing that will make me and my husband whole, is to have the wall removed and to have our 8-foot fence back. Currently, the retaining wall is going around a manhole that belongs in my neighbor's backyard. And so now I have a manhole and a 12 to 13-foot fence on my backyard. And I'm fairly certain, had this been approached by the city for permission to construct, it would not have been allowed. And the only thing that will make us happy would be for the wall to be removed, put back on the property it belongs, and for us to have an 8-foot fence, a level, or fairly level. It wasn't 100%, I'll be honest. No rocks. That's all we wanted. I had 20 to 30-foot piles of dirt once in my backyard, and it was my whole entire backyard. My grandchildren, there was nowhere for them to go. I had an 18-year-old blind and deaf dog. Poor thing didn't know what was going on. Had to take her out front. She didn't know what she was doing. So it was a very trying time. We were promised it would be back the way it was, and we kept trying to be patient and wait. And when it was all said and done, you know, we knew we had to allow what was finished to be able to get some privacy back. And now that it was not the way it was supposed to be, we would like it back the way it was when it first happened.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you have any,
Did we get those questions written down so we can, will you say those again, Ms. Burnett, the questions you had?
Oh,
Who
it was-
owns the wall?
basically, it's who owns the wall, who's going to be responsible for the wall, and the fence that is, and this took about 4 to 5 feet of my backyard to be able to hide this manhole. It was not going to be hidden. That was one of the things that really, we had to take part of our budget to cover this manhole and this wall, so we didn't have to look at it. So we want to know who is responsible for the wall, who's responsible for the fence, and should flooding occur, is that going to be our responsibility, or will the city be taking care of that?
Okay, thank you. Any other public comments? All right, we'll move on to new business. Joy Black, our finance director.
Hello. For the month of January, we were 6.9 higher for sales tax, but 94 below the budget, but it came in today for February as a break even on the budget amount, so that was good news. Streets went from 76 days to 99 days on their cash on hand, which is also excellent news, but that was in part due because I recalculated the 120 days like I usually do at the beginning of the year, using the last 6 months of expenses. So they were holding down their last 6 months of expenses trying to do that, so it had kind of a double effect. I wanted to draw everyone's attention. We've talked for several months in the lead up to this about that for January, the new cash reserve policy would be put on the report in red. It's a work in progress. I still have several things that I'm trying to figure out the best way to deal with. So any feedback would be great on that. Also, on page 7, I added the budgeted debt, principal, and interest payments in red because that kind of goes along with the cash reserve policy because one of the buckets is for debt. So I wanted, at the beginning of the year, to draw everybody's attention to the final page on the report. The very, very last page is a really good summary of the whole report, basically, because it gives the original budget, then the amended budgets, and the fiscal activity for the year, the period you're looking at, and then any encumbrances. And so I just kind of wanted to reiterate that if you're wanting to get a snapshot of the whole report, that's a pretty good page to look at. The negative amounts in the current budget column indicate that we're intending to dip into savings for that fund. The auditors came out and conducted preliminary work in January for the end of the year, and everything went smoothly. Does anybody have any questions on the January report?
So January sales tax is really December coming in, right?
No, November.
November, okay. Maybe the next, and did you say you already have February?
We have February, and it brought us to a break even on our forecast. So that was good news. Good questions. Anything else for January? Any questions on the new budget, the new cash reserve amounts? I know that's gonna take some getting used to, and there's a lot to take in there. Like I said, we're gonna work on it all year.
It's a work in progress.
Yes, it's definitely a work in progress. So, but any feedback would be great, so. Anything else on that one?
Have a motion?
So moved.
A motion,
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
Thank you. And then for the first set of budget adjustments, these go back to the 2024 budget, and they're just cleanup of what I usually do at the end of the year, trying to make everything look just right for the audit. So, we've talked about this before. During this year, Crystal and I worked really hard on doing capital as we went, which is something we've never done before. So we had to do these cleanup entries at the end of the year for capital on the general fund, and then a big amount to that 5898 for street. Those are all just basically cleanup items. They're not like real, they're accounting entries basically. And then the budget, the bond payment, the 1.7, those next three, 110, 113, 114 are all related to bond stuff. And the last four are related to depreciation.
Where are you seeing these?
It's this one. It's a one-pager. Should be the attachment to the ones for the budget adjustments for 2024.
I don't know if we have that.
I have
It wasn't in our packet.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, it was?
Oh, well, I mean, it may not be in this one, but it's one in the email that Jordan emailed out. It was on there.
Oh,
Yeah, I uploaded it with everything else. I can get you guys a
you
copy
see it?
after the,
I'm still looking.
or I can pass this one around if y'all want to
Printed it
take a look at it.
earlier today.
Well,
That one right there.
Yeah, pass that around.
so that last page that you were talking about,
That what?
that last page you were talking about, just in front of the resolution?
It's just a one pager. I think it's on the back of the,
It's blank on the,
there's a front and a back to it. It didn't go through correctly?
Pass it, make a copy.
We talking about this?
no, I didn't. It's
No,
not
that's the report. It
I know.
needs to be one more down on the agenda. Are you online?
I downloaded this is all this is the page you just talked about.
Should be the next page.
Should be that white page, I think.
Hang on. It should have been that one. Maybe they got put in the wrong order.
You've been copier, aren't you? You've used it before.
Very quick.
I thought these three were kind of,
Light.
yeah, that's good.
I actually was trying to not do any for 2025 this month, but Tim wanted to do that one. And so I put the other one on there because I thought, well, if I'm taking any, I'll just, thank you, actually.
So there's only 130 pages, that's why it's confusing.
Sorry. But yeah, so if you'll notice, these amounts, they're all capital on the back, and then for general fund, and then bonds, and then depreciation expense. So. Any questions on those?
Make the motion to approve.
All right, got a motion,
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Now we have.
Now the ones for
Does have your
2025.
attachment.
And 2025's is very light. There was just the one that Tim wanted to do this month. Otherwise, I was gonna wait, and that's on the Spring Hill project easements. And we're adjusting for it, but it will be paid back from the bond funds, but we don't know the timeline on that. So we wanted to go ahead and bring it to you guys. And then, in the past, the Saline County Economic Development money in the way past, it was in planning department, and in the last 2 years, it was actually put into the mayor's line, which really didn't make a lot of sense, so we moved that, because it really should be in planning. So that's what those two are. It's just, did anybody have any questions on either of those?
Did we increase planning's budget or keep it the same?
All I did was move it out of mayor's and into planning's. So in a manner, it increased planning's budget,
Okay.
but,
Decrease the mayor's?
yeah, but it decreased the mayor's. So it's a
All right.
wash. So
Thank you.
Am I reading it correctly that the 110 is to make offers to acquire? It's not necessarily agreed to yet? Okay.
Questions?
Gotcha. It's not, okay. Pretty accurate, though. Should be pretty close. Okay.
All right, if there's no more questions, I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
Thank you
Thank
for moving that, Joy. I said thank you for moving that.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for noticing. So this one I brought to you guys last month, and we've had a lot of discussion in various different ways since then. It's the purchasing policy. Instead of asking it to be tied to the state and changing without bringing it back to you guys if the state changes, I just put in the new state amount of $42,921, and I made this sheet for you guys, which is all the line items in the budget for 2025 that are over 42 grand, so that you could see, you know, what it would potentially affect. Does anybody have any questions? I think I got all of the corrections too that we missed the last time. You know, we changed some things on that chart. So I did those. Did anybody have anything else, or?
So in the past, we've put that budget, that spending amount as a separate ordinance, right?
No, I mean, not since, we did this.
Because we
one-
didn't have a purchasing policy.
In the past, yes, in the past, there wasn't a policy. I guess we just adhered to the states by default, I guess, because we didn't have a policy. And we did this policy in 2021, I think, was the first time we brought this policy. And then, we've been working on it since then, basically.
So we're not tying it to the state statute, but we are raising the spending limit to this crazy number.
Yeah, I know, I don't really like that number either, but I didn't want to make it different from the state, so.
Because I don't think spending increases should be automatic. I think they should always be discussed. Because in my personal situation, that's how you have subscriptions for streaming services that you don't know, or when something's an automatic renewal, then you wind up paying twice what you originally thought you. I mean, it happens. That's why
Yes.
you look at that stuff.
But I will say, though, the state has changed that 3 times in 15 years. So, I mean, they don't have a record for really
Right.
changing it that often. But, I mean, that's, you know,
We're setting that precedent that
Yeah.
if the state changes, we bring it to you, and it's council's decision whether to continue to go with the state statute or do something different.
which is what we did before, because we had it originally, I think, at the 20, I think, was the first, when we did the purchasing policy, and then they changed it to 35, and we brought that back to council. And that was the change to the purchasing policy. And then now, when I brought this one, I thought, well, do we need to keep bringing it? But I mean, I'm fine with it either way.
It won't be automatic.
Yeah, it won't be, the way it's drafted, this way is the way it was before, only with the 42,921.
And we actually, when it was 20, at one time, we reduced that by council vote to, what do we, 10,000? Took it down to 10, and then we put it back in 2015, I think, to 20. So we can look at it. I mean, it's not something we can't look at.
Sure.
We can change anything anytime by bending ordinance.
I'd make this a round number instead of this squirrely number, but
What's the squirrely number?
It's the,
it's $42,921.
How many cents?
No, no sense. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense and there is no sense.
Yeah,
Cents,
I don't know
cent,
why
okay.
I don't know why the state did it that way.
I mean-
but,
Just because the state sets it, I mean, I was informed last meeting that Benton has raised theirs to 30 from 20.
I mean, if y'all want to make it an even 43,000, I mean, you can do that through an amendment to
Leave it where
what I
you have
brought.
it.
You guys are just leave
I'd
it.
keep it to 40.
Okay. So,
Do we need to make a motion or anything? Since, or are we
if-
approving the
if you-
policy?
Yes, you're approving the policy, adopting the resolution to approve this policy. So if you want to change the way that it looks now, you would just do an amendment to that resolution tonight.
So we have to pass the resolution first and amend it.
just pass the
Yes.
policy, right?
Yeah, you, is that actually what they
You
passed?
can amend you can have a motion to amend the policy now, and then pass the resolution with the amended policy.
That makes more sense.
This is more of a procedural question, but does this purchasing policy need to include a revision date on it, since we're revising an original?
I did think about that. Before, all it had was the date, the year at
I
the
just
top of
noticed
it.
that, yeah, that it still had the July 21 on there.
Oh.
So that's what,
Mine is 25.
on the first page it does, but the
Oh.
others all say 21 at the top.
Okay,
in the
well,
header.
It
So-
should all be, it should all be 25.
Okay.
Sorry,
That was,
Good catch.
sorry.
Good catch.
Yes, thank you, John.
These are thumbs.
Having the biggest trouble with this
Good at that.
document.
So, are you, what I'm hearing is 40,
Motion to adapt as it is.
motion to adopt as it is, as in this policy in front of you tonight.
$42,921
Okay.
and everything attached to it, yes, sir.
All
I
right.
second that, since he's my ward mate, and he is adamant about his decision.
Thank you.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Roll call vote. Is that okay? Because I could,
It's a resolution.
but I can't,
He can call for it if he wants.
I'd like to just.
it's a curveball.
You're the Robert Rules person.
O'Rourke,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Rodell,
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Higginbotham,
Yes.
Permitter,
Yes.
Mosley,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the last item, this is pretty exciting because thanks to Crystal encouraging me to speed things up, we have done the record destruction in record time.
It's over and done with.
Happens when you get a younger guy doing it than me, so. Better shape, better looking. better
No,
looking.
it was definitely me. I'm old school. I was like, we'll just plod along. But she was like, why don't we just speed this up? And I was like, okay, yes. So, any questions on the record destruction affidavit?
No questions? I have a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion. Second.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. I put y'all to sleep. Put you guys to sleep, or something.
It started.
All right.
So
I just want to say one thing about the purchasing policy. Councilmember Martin did make did notice the July 2021. That's considered a clerical error, and that can be changed without a motion or anything. Thank you, Ashley.
All right, resolution for the committee that I've asked you all to consider forming to deal with these specific funding questions that we've got facing the city. Questions?
Chief, can you get the thermostat? It's a little warm.
Motion to approve.
Thermostat move?
both, the temp and this.
Takes an engineer.
Second both.
Motion to approve, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then now the resolution to endorse a strategic plan. Again, the heart behind this is simply to show unity, that this is, next couple of years, this is what we're going to take on and work on together.
This is just, yeah, it's
I
not,
was gonna say, what are we approving?
this isn't binding, this is just a show of a.
Just an endorsement that, yeah, we're, this is the direction we're headed. If at any time, I mean, there'll be other things we have to deal with in the next couple of years. Things that aren't in there that we didn't foresee, or things will,
But we're not endorsing rate increases or anything
no,
like that?
no, 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 no.
Okay.
Do you need a motion?
Yes, sir.
So moved, sir.
We have a motion,
I'll second it.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you all very much.
Can I ask that the next item be put on the agenda? I had a meeting with Ms. Joyner and her attorney and Ms. Burnett, who y'all heard from today during public comments. And they did express concerns about part of their property being taken. Ms. Joyner has actually had a survey completed on her property which showed approximately 2 feet that the wall has gone over into her property. I'm requesting $4,000 to $6,000 to get a survey and appraisal of both properties. And in the alternative, permission to negotiate compensation for the property that's lost. I don't believe that the actual property that's lost, the fair market value would be over the amount that the survey and appraisal would be. We may not be able to come to a negotiated amount between that $4,000 to $6,000. If not, we would move forward to getting the surveys and appraisals by the city. So I'm just asking permission for that money, either to get the appraisal and survey or to negotiate compensation in the alternative.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, and I did receive and wrote down, and I'll watch the video again of all of Ms. Burnett's questions. And yeah, I feel like this has now turned into a legal matter. I have advised staff to refer all questions to me. So just want to let them know that they have reached out to staff. I have advised them not to talk at this time and just refer everything to me, so I will be getting answers to Ms. Burnett, though.
Actually, were there other properties outside of Miss Joyner's and Miss Burnett's that were?
I have not been made aware of any of that.
Okay.
I believe no one else has come to the city stating that any of their property was taken. There were other properties affected, but no one has come stating they believe any of their property was taken. Any other questions?
So if the city pays for that property, is it gonna show as city property?
It will not. It will actually stay, the property lines will not change. So their property line, the fence will just be whatever the survey says, a foot into their property line or 2 feet into their property line. We will not change any type of property lines or anything like that.
I
Just
like that.
compensation
Yes,
for the encroachments.
Yeah,
correct.
I like that answer.
Thank you.
Okay. Planning and development. Rebecca, do we need to change some of the language in this resolution? Okay, I'll let you hand those out, and then you can tell us what we need to change.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We don't have a budget.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is a resolution to apply for the Metro Plan Climate Pollution Reduction Grant. We are looking at purchasing 2 plots of land that will then eventually expand Mills Park. So it would be those 2 plots. In the future, we would like to put a trail and water line through that, but the rest of it would be preserved and be under a conservation easement. This grant is 100% paid for if we get it, so that would include the land, the property survey, environmental, conservation easement, and the deed restriction. We would just need a deed restriction on there so that we could put in that trail and that water line through there. We received the appraisal report on Friday, which the acreage numbers were a little more than what was in the original resolution. I got those off of GIS, so our numbers are a little different. That's why you have a new resolution and updated resolution. The only thing that's different is in the 4th paragraph. The original one said a totaling 37.82 acres, and it should be 38.14 acres. And then in the 5th paragraph, to preserve 36.56 acres should be 36.88 acres. So with that, I would need a motion to amend the resolution to reflect the correct numbers, and then a motion to then adopt the amended resolution.
I'll make a motion to amend the resolution
Second.
stated. All in favor? Motion passes. Now, motion to approve this resolution as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Get everybody?
Yes.
All right. Motion passes.
I'm glad,
Thank you.
I'm glad to see that, especially considering whose property that is.
Yes.
And how much they mean to the city and what that'll mean to them for that to be a conservation and part of Mills Park.
Yes, sir. Well, it's a really good fit for exactly who we are and who they are. Hopefully it works out. All right, Tim, you want to talk about some parkway lights?
Yeah, I am excited to announce that the city is actively working in a project that will provide lights just south of the Raymar overpass to the Shogue Road intersection on the Bryant Parkway.
You will make a lot of people very happy.
Oh,
This is a
yeah.
big win.
It is so dark out there.
The next section, which is obviously the longest section. So
Where's talk to us about the funding for that.
the funding is remaining funding from the current build of the Bryant Parkway. So, and that does come with 10 years of maintenance and some pretty cool stuff. Like if one gets taken out by a car, it just gets replaced. You don't have to pay anything out of pocket. So.
It's amazing how those get taken out by cars on the north side.
Go down there.
Big concrete around them now, so I try to avoid them with your car if you could.
Are these, did you say these concrete structures?
The poles will be aluminum, the base will be concrete. If you look coming from Highway 5, coming south on the Parkway, you'll see that one that's got the big concrete, that's how they'll be.
Familiar, but
So, yeah, like Wade said,
It's been taken out several times.
that one, the ones on the Pello get taken out all the time.
Roundabouts.
Who put the roundabouts?
Yeah,
Great news, Tim.
yeah,
It is.
It's definitely good news, and
Yeah.
it's been worked towards for a while, and we get requests/complaints probably weekly about lights.
Yes.
Oh, I got one last Thursday. That's the same
What's the
thing.
time frame?
I can probably guess.
Oh,
Mr. Tim?
What's the time frame?
They have started to order material already, and once they get the material in, so part of it was trying to beat any possible increase in price, and they kind of put a 14-day period on that in case tariffs and stuff kick in. So once we get material in, we'll know project line. So.
That's awesome. Good job.
All right, Woodland Hills contract, y'all familiar with Woodland Hills?
Yep, so it's time to renew the Woodland Hills contract. The only thing that's changing in it from the other one is we went to basically a 3-year renew with Saline Regional in progress. So if it extends past 3 years, we'll revisit it, but that's the anticipation. That's the only thing that's changed in it.
So this agreement's for 3 years?
Currently, yeah.
Was approved by Water Sewer Advisor.
Yeah. So the original agreement was 20 years. If Saline Regional happens and in 3 years we're still feeding Woodland Hills, then there's a wheeling fee the city gets, and we'd have to go back to the.
yeah,
No.
it's a good thing.
All right, I have a motion.
Next motion.
Got a motion? Second. Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. And now we've got the water deposit and service fee. Again, this was through water sewer advisory.
Yeah, it was recommended by Water Sewer Advisory. So just a brief background, some of the different complexes, apartment complexes typically, we require a deposit to be on file to turn the water on. What's happening is people are moving out of an apartment, there's no deposit, they want the water on to clean or run or whatever, and we don't have a deposit on file. Somehow, long before me, somebody said there was a bond on file, and there's a whole bunch of bonds and loan. I don't know how it could come. Mark was gracious enough to dig into it. Angela dug into it. I dug into it. There's no such thing, and if there was a bond when this originally happened, it would have expired anyways. So we're going to require the apartment complexes or anybody per our own ordinance to have a deposit on file in order to have the water turned on.
So aren't some apartment complexes already adhering to this? And
Yeah.
so we're kind of getting everybody on the same playing
It's
field.
not everybody, it's just, that isn't adhering.
treating
It's just
everybody-
getting everybody in the same exact playing ground
Yeah.
that we require.
So is this, so like if somebody's got water right now, we're gonna require them to come in and pay a deposit?
If they have water, if they're occupying the apartment, there's already a deposit on file. It's when they leave the apartment, the apartment complex won't put a deposit on file, but they want the water to stay on.
So we're losing the
I
water,
understand what
are
you're-
we not, or?
Still billing for it, but we don't, the deposit is there to protect our infrastructure if something
Okay.
happens.
Yeah.
So, and we require it out of everybody to begin with, that everybody's gonna be held to the same standard for the ordinance.
So this won't have any impact on tenants. This would just be strictly on the
Yeah.
facilities.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it doesn't alter the amount of the deposit?
No.
Okay.
No,
Motion.
I'd imagine we'll hear some grief because, some of these apartment complexes are large, but it's easy. It's completely objective. It's not a subjective thing. It's required by everybody.
Any other questions? Got a motion?
Motion to approve.
Got a motion, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you,
Thank you.
Kim. Council comments.
I have one that kind of goes along with water.
Okay.
It's a sewer.
No. No, when I was at the water meeting the other night, Angela is an amazing city employee, and she helps a lot of residents with water leaks. And I just happened to ask her, how many people in the city partake of water strokes? She said about 35%. I said, that's kind of sad. Now, Tim has emailed me a one sheet that is really easy. I've shared it with my neighbors, trying to get them, I've used it to sign people up. It takes probably 10 minutes. It's very easy. Can we get something in the newsletter, complete with graphics? Because people like, I think when people see, once people have logged people on that, and set them up, they're like, oh, it does that? And I think people just don't know, and I think it had some great graphics that say, that people could see, this is what it's going to tell me. It's amazing software.
It's great stuff.
Yeah, we had some updated training too. So Metron's come out with user-friendly YouTube videos that we can get thrown in there, and they can,
If we could put it in the newsletter that they get with their water, because everybody's going to have high water bills here
Okay,
next month.
great.
I love the thing just because you can set it up to send you an alert if you
And I've had
if it
multiple
shows a
alerts,
leak
yeah.
on there.
Yeah.
Because it's sure putting in, helping me find
Yeah,
mine.
it is. It's very helpful, and it's kind of sad that only 35% of the city.
I don't remember the exact number, but when we were going through it, like the average people you report had a budget system you were on, it was like somewhere between 8 and 10%. So
Yeah.
very much low, but
Yeah, we'll work on getting that up.
But we're a tech-savvy city.
I agree.
I mean, my friends over there out in the county, they have a little older demographic, and he said, we don't get very much compliance with that.
Good comment. Anything else?
I don't know if you may say anything about it, but I wanted to congratulate Walter on his appointment to, that's pretty impressive. You'll
Yeah.
enjoy the heck out of that.
Talk a little bit about that, Walter?
You're talking about 75 strong?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. So, thank you. Was selected for 75 Strong program through a competitive process. This is through the Arkansas Economic Development Commission. And so it's economic development, credentialing, and training that goes with that. And so I'll get trained up over the next 2 years in economic development. I am looking for local businesses who want to participate in that program. I don't have a lot of details yet, but if you know of a local business who wants to grow their business and perhaps participate in that, would love to make contact with them.
Awesome. A lot of talent on city council. Any other council comments? Mayor comments, I don't know a whole lot about these bills, but I know Bill 201 and 268 are both funding for senior adults, Meals on Wheels, some of the funding that you all know that we've kind of struggled to catch up with and replace are going to be going through soon. So I'm just asking everybody to be aware of that. I just got this information today, so I've read them. I don't know a whole much about state when
Can
these
you
bills
restate the numbers again?
201 and 268.
Those are Senate bills, so it would be SB 201
SB,
and
thank you.
SB 268.
Could you email those to us?
Yes. But I just want to let you know that that's out there, and anything we can do to help promote that, I think would be big time beneficial for Saline County senior adults.
Because as one of them, I can tell you the waiting list for Meals on Wheels is massive. It helps so many seniors in our area in particular that can't make ends meet anymore, and that it's just amazing what they do for them.
Yeah, again, if you've never volunteered to deliver those,
Yes, sir.
I recommend you do so. It'll really open your eyes to some of the situations in our community that people think Bryant's an upper middle class community and everything's June and Ward Cleaver. That's just not the case. And this will help you. This will help you be really thankful for everything you've got.
And as you're probably well aware, they lost a lot of the federal funding that they had for that. And this will go a long ways to help make up for some of that, because there's a lot of people that were getting meals that are no longer getting them. And it's a struggle. I see them come in at the senior center and eat a meal that they get there, and that's the only meal they get all day long.
If you'll remember, we committed our senior adult center in Benton to be open 5 days a week and not lose any of the meals on site. But what really got hit was the Meals on Wheels program. So I just wanted to say that so you can start making some phone calls and say, hey, there were some numbers mentioned, some SB 20 something, and I want to know what that is, and we can just start getting that conversation started.
The other part is not just Benton and Bryant. It's all over.
It's whole state.
Statewide. All right, thank you. I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Adjourn.
Thanks, everybody.